Today's video may be a bit bitty. It may not flow as good as it usually does because I don't really know how to start today's video. I've got a lot of points I want to make, so maybe a long one as well. But I certainly want to discuss Graham Potter and my feelings about Potter and the situation he's in going into the summer next season, because a lot of people incorrectly assume that I want Potter sacked. However, that's my fault. When one person thinks something and it's wrong, I think, well, that's on them. For example, yesterday's video, someone commented and said, how have you only just discovered Sullivan's a problem at West Ham? Your head's been buried in the sand. Something along that lines. I thought, well, your head's been buried in the sand if you think I've only just discovered it. I literally said in the video about surprise/disappointment and stuff. But with Potter, many people think I want him sacked. That's on me because I'm very aware I have been coming across as negative. I've been angry, I've been disappointed, I've been frustrated. My expectations are quite low. Those things are still true. So I understand why people think I want Potter sacked. But that's not the case. So I'm going to do my best to explain why I don't want him sacked and have a candid chat. I'm looking forward to it. Now, before we do get into it, just want to remind people we've got a raffle at the minute. We've got 2 prizes up for grabs. I signed Paul Di Canio Premier League captain's armband, and I signed Paulo Di Canio shirt, my favourite ever West Ham home shirt from 0001-02. The Fila Dr. Martins combo, Di Canio on the back, signed by Paulo as well. It's £5 per entry. Links in the description below and pinned comments. Tomorrow lunchtime, Thursday lunchtime, the promo ends. So at the minute we've got a promo. If you buy 2 tickets, you'll get a 3rd ticket for free. So it'll cost you £10 for 3 entries. The raffle ends at 8 PM on Sunday. We will be doing another raffle later on in the week. We don't know which player it will be just yet because we're waiting for stock to arrive with us. But just in case we put up one that's got Noble or Dix and someone goes, I entered Di Canio, wish I kept my money for this one. It's for transparency. The money is coming to Hammers Chat as well. But good luck if you've entered. Thank you to those of you who have. Right, Potter. Subscribe, drop a like on the video, thumbs up, 1,000 likes please, thank you. Now let's get into it. Potter. When David Moyes returned to West Ham, we had an old-fashioned, old-school manager at the helm, someone that liked his fingerprints all over the club. He liked it ran in a certain way, especially when it came to the squad. Player sales, player purchases, he had to have the final say on each and every one of them because he believed that's how to get the best out of West Ham United. That's his way of being a manager. Then David Sullivan decided one day that we wanted to go down the more traditional route, the more modern route, which was the director of football model. We were going to copy other successful Premier League clubs. We're going to copy the European model, bring someone in to oversee the transfer side of things. And we obviously got Tim Steidten in. But that was the problem. We had Tim Steidten and David Moyes, 2 people with important roles at the football club, but complete different sets of beliefs when it comes to the transfer market in terms of player profile, the transfer market in terms of who decides which player to bring in. They were polar opposites. But because of David Sullivan's lack of clarity, lack of leadership, they just butted heads for a year. And in the end, as we know, Moyes left, Steidten stayed. But we fast forward to today. We've got Graham Potter here. Now, we went from Moyes, an old-school, old-fashioned manager, and at the end of his tenure, we were trying to squeeze him into this head coach role. We took the old-school manager and said, nah, you're going to be a head coach. We're going to ram you in there, and we're going to make you go against how you think West Ham should be run, go against your beliefs as a manager. We're going to make you a head coach. It didn't work. Off he went. Now Tim Steidten's gone. We've now got Graham Potter. We've now got a head coach who is used to working under a director of football, someone who relies on the transfers being decided by other people, having a say, but ultimately other people being the boss of the transfer window. So we've gone from squeezing this old-fashioned manager into a head coach role to taking this head coach, and essentially what we're doing now is trying to stretch him into a manager's position because we need him to be in charge of the squad. We now need him to be in charge of the transfer window. West Ham today would have been better suited to David Moyes. At the end of David Moyes' spell at West Ham, that club would have been better suited to Graham Potter. That version of our club would have been better suited to Graham Potter. We've done a complete 180. And it comes down to one man. David Sullivan. Now, I should stress that if Graham Potter was on a 6-month contract, would I renew it? No. The answer is no. I'd say what we've seen is not good enough. Off you go. But he's not. He's still got 2 years to go at the end of this season, with a break clause at the end of next season, which is partly the reason why I'd maybe give him next season if we can, because then we can get rid of him for free. A lot of people they've just given up with West Ham as a whole. They've got apathy towards the football club. I don't have that. And I know I don't have that because I get wound up. I'm still getting annoyed. And people rightly point out and say, well, you're not happy with the stadium. You're not happy with the manager. You're not happy with the players. You're not happy with the board. Is there anything you're happy with? I was about to say the kit, but I don't like the badge. The colours of the kit. I guess there's certain players at the club I like. It's not like I dislike them all. I like most of them. The academy at West Ham is going really well. There are things I like. But I guess the main things at West Ham at the minute, no, I don't like them. And I'm not going to pretend to like them. But I don't have apathy towards those subjects. But what I do have apathy for, I think, is Graham Potter, is the manager of West Ham. Even if it wasn't Potter, I think I'd still have the same feeling, which is you're on a hiding to nothing here. And I've got sympathy for him. Now, on Saturday, when we lost to Brighton, immediately after full time, when your emotions are at your highest, I thought I was done with Potter. I thought, this is it. Just get him out. Just get him gone. But I didn't say it because I wanted to calm down. So Saturday night, I watched Palace Villa in the FA Cup. I chilled out a bit through to Sunday, chilled out, did the show on Sunday, seen what everyone else was saying. It's split. A lot of people would get rid of him. A lot of people would keep him. And in the end, I was thinking about it and I thought, do you know what? I don't think I care anymore about whether Potter's here or not next season. I don't actually care. If he left today, I would not be arsed. If we sacked him today, I would not be arsed. I wouldn't even be happy. I was happy when we sacked Lopetegui. I thought, brilliant, we got rid of him, let's go. I wouldn't have that with Potter. Because it goes back to David Sullivan, which is, well, who's next? Who's free? Who's willing to take this job? The list would be uninspiring. I think we'd be going from a shit sandwich to a crap sandwich. Do you know what I mean? It's still the same thing. You're still going to get the same product. It's just a different guy in charge because of the person above him, unable to do his job, impacts everyone else. As I've always said, when we were good under David Moyes, I said, just because West Ham are successful doesn't make David Sullivan a good chairman. It just means David Moyes was a good manager. David Moyes being a good manager stopped David Sullivan from being a bad chairman because he didn't have anything to do. He just had to sign checks, bring in the players Moyes wanted. But then as soon as he had to make a decision, which was Moyes' contract, which, by the way, I'm not going to become fake or pretend. I didn't want Moyes to get a new contract, right? But it doesn't mean I can't think how we handled it was bad. It was. We gave him a contract, then we took it away. That's bad as far as I'm concerned. I wanted Lopetegui to get sacked, but it doesn't mean I can't be annoyed or disappointed with how we handled it, which was letting him take training all week, knowing that Potter was coming. But especially on that Wednesday, we let Lopetegui take training, let him go home. We cancelled his press conference, by the way. So we cancelled his pre-match press conference for the Villa game, which he wanted to do. We cancelled it. Let him take training and prepare for the game. He then got in his car and went home. And then we rang him up and said, you're sacked. Pleased, he went. But it doesn't mean you can't be disappointed with how the club handled it. There's a way to do things. And that wasn't it. Gone off a tangent here, haven't I? Anyway, back to Potter then. I'll just change it and go where I am. So why would I keep Graham Potter? Because I'm not enjoying what we're seeing. I do think he's been unlucky. Now, what I'm away to say, there's sometimes you have an opinion in football. We've all got this, I hope. I'm hoping you can all relate to this in some way, whether it's about an opinion of a player, a manager, whatever. You will hold an opinion. And the evidence, as in the hard facts, the data, the statistics, whatever, the events, whatever, stuff that's happened, there's evidence to say you're wrong. So my argument here is going to be weak as piss because it's just an opinion. I don't have evidence to come and back me up. I'll try and give you reasons. But if we were to have a debate, you would win, right? If this was a debate as to why Potter, who's better, Potter or Lopetegui, whoever was pro Lopetegui, you're winning the debate. I'm Potter. I'm aware we picked up more points under Lopetegui. If we had Potter all season, we'd possibly get relegated. I'm aware of that. That's why I'm going to struggle to make my case here. But I feel like we've been better under Potter than we had under Lopetegui. Now, I could point to the goals we've conceded late on in games and the points we've dropped. You know, we threw away 3 points against Brighton, 1 against Liverpool, 2 against Everton, 2 against Southampton. If we were to go and accrue those points, we'd be sitting all right. We'd be where Potter took over. We wouldn't be in the top 10, but we would be treading water under Potter, which I think would be all right considering the situation, what he came into. But if my auntie had bollocks, she'd be my uncle and all that. So I can't really use that as evidence. But from what I've seen, I just feel like we've been better under Potter than Lopetegui, although it is very hard to articulate why. I feel like we're better organised. I think tactically we're better. I think there's areas of the squad I look at and think if we can resolve that, we would improve. Whereas under Lopetegui, I was going into games, I was fearing the worst. I wasn't really looking forward to it. I was expecting to lose. And even the games that we did win, I came away thinking, bloody hell, we got away with that one, didn't we? Whereas Potter, it's the other way around. I think we've come away from games where we've dropped points. Oh, we're a bit unlucky there. Lopetegui, I felt we were lucky. Potter, I feel like we've been unlucky in some games, not all of them. Now, going into next season, what's my hopes and expectations? Honestly, my expectations currently are to be in a relegation battle. My hopes are we're not in a relegation battle. That's how low the bar is now. So why would I want Potter at the helm if that's what I think? Because truth be told, we could go hire pretty much any manager and I'd still fear the same. And it's not a reflection on the manager per se. It's a reflection of the football club under the guidance of David Sullivan. And I think it's seasons of mismanagement coming back to bite us on the arse is where we are now. All this talk about financial issues going into the summer. I don't completely believe it, but I kind of do. The reason I don't completely believe it is because I think Sullivan would have to stump up 90 million in order for us to continue spending. That's the bit I think he won't do. So I do believe that we're going to have to be clever this summer in the transfer market, but it's not because we have to, it's because Sullivan doesn't want to put in 90 million. I covered it in yesterday's video, so why? That's just my opinion of it all. So why stick with Graham Potter? Because I would be a hypocrite, and I think maybe this is the biggest reason. Like I said, it's nothing Potter's done per se. He's got 3 wins in 15. He's got a win rate of 20%, right? It's difficult to say, here's the reasons that Potter's given that he's the man. And I've got concerns, big concerns. But when he first rocked up, I said, I'm going to give him this as a pre-season. This between when he came in January to the end of the season, it's his pre-season. I'll judge him next season. I'd be a massive hypocrite if I started to change that. And I don't want to be that. I don't like people that are hypocritical or two-faced. It's something I struggle with in life. Just like I appreciate a lot people that have the ability to change your mind. I think it's a wonderful thing. People that are hypocrites, I struggle with it. And I don't want to be that. So I feel like I've almost got to give him the start of next season because, well, I said I would. But it doesn't mean I haven't been judging him. I have been. And I've been disappointed with what I've seen. I didn't expect loads, and I feel like I've still got less than what I was hoping for. But I can't get over the fact that whilst I wasn't the biggest fan of him at Brighton, his midfield always had mobility. His midfield always had athletic players in there. Basuma, Caicedo, McAllister, even Pascal Gross, not the quickest, but could get about the pitch. We don't have that. I look at our team right now. I look at that midfield and think, my word, we're a shambles. And when I watched us play Brighton, I was thinking, if we were to take our team, and if you were to remove a centre-back, Kilman, in my opinion, take out Kilman, put Fulkrug in and stick him up front. But then you took out Souček and Ward-Prowse and put in Baliba and Ayari or Hinshelwood. I'm a big fan of Hinshelwood. You put Baliba and Hinshelwood into midfield. I think that would be a fantastic team. Just with West Ham having the same players, just swapping the midfield pairing for our opponent's midfield pairing. I think it'd be a great team. I say great. Not European football, but I don't think we'd be in a relegation battle. Bowen, Paqueta, Kudus, they're fantastic players. I think Füllkrug's a fantastic striker. Maybe I'm overrating our players and that's my fault. But you're not going to convince me that Bowen's a bad player. I think he's one of the best right wingers in the Premier League. The problem is he's not really been played right wing. So he does need a rebuild this summer. But even if we were to change manager, they would need a rebuild this summer. At least Potter's had the advantage of evaluating him for a few months. And I'm actually hoping that reaction we seen on Saturday, that anger we had from him, I still think it was because it was against Brighton. And I understand why people don't like it. Personally, I liked it. And I'll tell you why, because I've seen someone that was pissed off. And that's what I want. I don't want to see a manager who doesn't care. I don't want to see a manager who speaks about the positives. I'm really sorry. I've got a really itchy nose. And I've been trying to do it discreetly and it's not working. I've been out in the sun this morning. I went for a walk this morning. Because obviously Grace is 4 months old. Thought, let's get out for a walk now. Because we can't go for a walk in the afternoon. It'll be way too hot for her. So I went out. So I'm probably sunburnt. And I've got a really itchy nose. Anyway. I've lost my train of thought again, haven't I? Nice one, Gio. Ah, yes, pissed off Potter. I don't think he's broken. I think there's two different versions, isn't there? I think Slaven Bilic at the end of his time here, he was broken. He just looked sad. He looked miserable. The fight had gone. And he just looked like a dog waiting to be put down. A bit like what Postecoglou is at Spurs right now. It feels like just a matter of time before that comes to an end. But when I think Potter looked broken on Saturday, I think he looked broken as in he snapped. He'd had enough. He'd had enough of poor performances. He'd had enough of player performances. He'd had enough of the media. And then you saw the anger come out. And I understand why people think it's a bad thing and it's unprofessional. I get it. You'd have to persuade me. I liked it. But I need to see a reaction to it. Not just this weekend against Spurs with your team selection and the team performance, but also in the summer as well. I want to see a reaction in the summer. You could argue that this bad period we're going through is actually a good thing in the long run. Because had Potter come in and we'd done all right and finished 14th in the league, you might be looking at the squad and go, do you know what? I can work with majority of these. It just needs tweaking. That would concern me more. So the fact that we're going through this spell, surely he's got to look at it and think, right, this needs serious surgery. We're going to have to replace half of these players. And it is a difficult thing. I'm not suggesting it's going to be easy, but I think it's required. I think it's riskier to stick with what we've got than it is to try and ship a lot of them out and bring in a lot of new players. But because of the spell we've been under, as in not playing well, no Harry Potter stuff, this period, he's surely got to be looking at that squad thinking we've got to really evaluate this and get some of them gone in the summer. And I think if we were to get someone new in, it'd almost start that process on day one, which is at the start of June. I think that's a dangerous thing to do. They'd possibly come in and go, let's give them pre-season to impress. And I think that's risky. And I appreciate I'm going into this window naive, with blind faith, blind hope. Well, I don't really have any of that. It's just fed up. I'm just fed up with David Sullivan. I think if we were to sack Potter and bring someone else in, I think the exact issues would continue into next season with the new manager in charge. Could we get a better manager than Potter? Yes, we could. But you know what? I think we could get a worse one. I genuinely do. I know a lot of people say, well, we can't. Anyone better than Potter? I don't think that's the case because people said it about David Moyes. It wasn't something I ever subscribed to, but it was almost anyone but Moyes for some people. And I kept using Rafa Benitez as an example. But there was worse than Moyes. I think we got one with Lopetegui. I think we've got one with Potter. And there's worse than Potter. Sean Dyche, I think, is worse than Graham Potter. Possibly even Gareth Southgate. I certainly would have swapped Potter for Southgate. No, I wouldn't. I don't want him here. So I don't think change. It can be. I'm guilty of this with substitutions in games. I assume every sub's a good sub to some extent. You know, if we're drawn 1-1, I'm thinking change it with the assumption that whoever comes on is going to have a positive impact on the game. It doesn't always work like that, and I think you can be a bit like that with managers sometimes. Well, we change manager, we will get better, hopefully, but not always. There's no guarantee that that's going to occur, especially when the guy in charge is still the guy in charge. when I spoke to Matthew, he gave me hope. He's the Brighton fan. You haven't seen the video, and he spoke about Potter's time, and he doesn't like Potter because of what he'd done, because he left Brighton and took a lot of his entourage with him and went off to Chelsea. But in terms of the football, he described it as the best football he's ever seen at Brighton. Well, since then, they've had De Zerbi, and now they've got Hörsler. That's a big statement to make. But he did suggest it took 2 seasons to get to that point under Graham Potter. I appreciate he was there for another half season, but we're talking, the period we're discussing was at the end of a season rather than the new season before he went to Chelsea. Do I think he'll produce that at West Ham? Not really. Like I said, I don't have, I say blind hope. I'm not even sure I've got that. I've just given up to some extent with the manager position at West Ham. I think it's a bloody difficult thing to do. And he's got a hell of a job on his hands this summer. Because like I said at the start, we're looking at Potter now saying, can you become a manager? Because we need a big rebuild. Can you oversee it, please? Oh, by the way, you've got no money to spend, so here's some magic beans. Is there anything you can do with that? He's got a difficult job on his hands this summer and next season. And he doesn't start the one thing I will say, he does not start on a clean slate for me. Let's just say 50% of people watching this want Potter to go and 50% want him to stay. I think that's roughly where we're at, going by the comments from subscribers. But out of that 50% I want him to stay, how long are you going to give him next season before you make up your mind? For me, I don't know, 10 games maybe? Because he doesn't start with the clean slate. He starts on, I don't know, minus geo points, if you like. And I want to see something quick. And this is the first time, possibly ever. When I was a kid, I used to look forward to the fixtures coming out, just out of excitement. So I think this is the first time ever I'm worried about the fixtures coming out. Or I'm usually not that arse when the fixtures come out. Whoop-de-doo, play everyone twice. Who are we playing on the last game of the season? Hopefully it's a home game. Who are we playing on the first game of the season? And when do we play insert teams, X, Y, Z? That's what I look for. I'm not that bothered when we play Burnley or when we play Nottingham Forest. I couldn't care. But the fixtures come out on the 18th of June. The date is ingrained on my head now. Well, in my brain rather, not on my head. You'd see it. When the fixtures come out, I'm actually a bit nervous and a bit worried for them. Because I'm praying we've got a good start. Like I said, usually not arsed. But I think if we get off to a bad run this season, we could be in for a long, hard season. But we can get a few favourable fixtures. And I don't know what they are right now. Likely to be the promoted teams. Whoever wins the playoffs, can we have them at home in the first game of the season, please? Because we need points on the board quick to get that confidence up, get a bit of momentum, then we should be okay. But if you go 4 or 5 games without picking up a win, confidence goes, rot sets in, you're under pressure, Potter's out the door, the window's just shut, so the new guy's got Potter's team to, well, I say Potter's team, he's got Potter and Lopetegui and Moyes, Pellegrini, Slaven Bilic, and if Creswell signs on, he's got a bit of Allardyce's squad as well. Things aren't great at West Ham. I just don't think Potter's the biggest problem at the moment. I think it's David Sullivan. So that's why I wouldn't sack him. I appreciate this isn't really a pro-Potter video. It's not meant to be. It's just my honest thoughts. I'm willing to give him the start of next season. And listen, if we beat Tottenham, you will see the happiest Gio you've seen in a long time because I love beating that lot. If we get beat by Tottenham, I'll be angry. And you'll be like, oh, he wants Potter out. Not really. I'm just pissed off we got beat by Spurs. Hopefully, between now and the end of the season, we can win a couple of games. That would be nice. If we could finish above Spurs, that'd be funny. But ultimately, whether we finish 17, 16, 15, it's not really going to change how I feel going into next season. Wins isn't going to change how I feel about Potter. We could go win all 4 games between now and the end of the season. I'm not now going to think, oh, well, brilliant, we've got a top manager here. It's all about the summer transfer window for me. We need a really good one. And I'm hoping that next season, there will be things I can look forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing Freddie Potts and George Earthy back at West Ham. I'm hoping they stick around and they're part of the squad going next season. So we'll have them to and all his scars. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping Potter can get the best out of Jared Bowen again. But It all hinges on the summer. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm waffling. Told you this was going to be a rubbish one. I even had notes for today's video. I think I've gone through it. All manager into head coach, done that. Midfield rebuild, we touched on that. Issues would remain, certainly done that. Potter's evaluated. Matthews hope. Late goals. Lopetegui. Wrong if no money. I didn't really touch on. Basically, what I meant is, if there is no money this summer, this guy ain't the right guy, Potter, because what evidence is that he can build a squad with next to nothing? There isn't any. There isn't any that he can do it with money. But I bet you it's easier to rebuild a squad when you've got cash to spend than it is when you've got no cash to spend. So that's one of my concerns, that we've got Potter in. So can you rebuild the squad and your transfer budget is zero? Crack on. There's literally no evidence they can do it. And no clean slate. I've done that. Right, there you go. That's my honest chat. Probably a load of nonsense. Hopefully some of you enjoyed it. You made it to the end. I'm off to scratch my nose. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do drop a like on the video before you disappear. Subscribe to Hammer's Chat. And if you fancy trying to win a Decanio shirt or Captain's Armband, links in the description below. And we'll be back at the end of this week with our Tottenham preview, which I'm looking forward to because we're beating them. We're going to win on Sunday. I'm telling you, we are beating Spurs on Sunday. And I'm actually looking forward to it. Catch you in a bit.